What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Owen Performance Essentials routine. Today we are covering lower body foam rolling. Now, before we get into it, I want to go over one little point here, and it's talking about the equipment we're going to need. Now, for this routine, you will need a foam roller. Now, it doesn't have to be an elaborate, really expensive foam roller. What I really recommend is what we sell here at Owen Performance. It's basically a small, like 12-inch roller, perfectly smooth. It's pretty dense. It does have a little bit of give, but it is dense enough that it's not going to collapse. And it doesn't have any ridges. Now, that's the important thing, is because it doesn't have any ridges, you're gonna be able to hit and cover equally, applying like a nice even distribution of pressure over the entire muscle. So it's gonna allow you to really control that a lot better. That's the only real thing we're gonna need for this. Now, grab your roller and let's get right into it. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start by going after the quad, which is basically the front muscle of your thigh. So you're gonna grab your roller, and the way we're gonna position ourselves is to allow ourselves to support our body weight and really control the entire movement the whole way through. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be taking my leg, dropping it off to the side, my elbows are rested on the ground, and what that's gonna allow me to do is guide myself forward and backwards. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by taking the roller and rolling it on the thigh. We're gonna go from the top of the thigh down to just above the knee. If you can't get the entire muscle in the first shot as you kind of move from top to bottom, it doesn't matter, that's okay. What we're gonna do is we're gonna spend about 2 minutes basically going over both our quads, so a minute per quad. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna be gradually moving our way down. So you're gonna start by rolling it, 3-4 times one way, and then move and go 3 or 4 times the other way. What you're trying to do with this is cover the entire muscle as best you can. And basically you'll notice that as I'm doing it, I'm not allowing myself to move at a very, very, very quick speed. What I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to move at a very slow speed. So usually what I tell people is you wanna go at a speed and a pace of about 2 inches per second. So roughly 1 to 2 inches per second. That's about a good pace. So if you see how fast I'm moving, you'll notice that I am going at a relatively nice pace. So as I mentioned before, you want to maintain those 3 rules, and you want to keep those 3 rules in mind as we go through it. So you'll notice that I'm rotating my leg. I'm getting the outer portion of my quad here, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to rotate to the other side. I'm going to get the other leg. I'm going to get it just a bit on the inside. I'm not gonna get the entire inner quad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break it apart, break it down and work each side individually. So as I'm going through this, I'm really trying to keep that in mind. Now, I'm gonna switch over to the other side here. Do the same thing. I'm basically taking my arms, placing them here, dropping my leg off to the side, and I'm going to be going through the rolling again. So I am rolling consistently, just getting on the other side of the quad here. And for this side, I'm gonna be showing you on this one here. You can try this instead, where I'm basically just doing the top portion of my quad first. So I'm just doing the top. I'm not doing anything else, just focusing on the top. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start separating it, bring the roller down a little bit closer to my knee, and repeat the same process so I'm getting both sides. I'm not gonna be getting just one. So I'm gonna stop there, I'm gonna roll it down, get it to the top of my knee. And from here, I'm rolling to the middle. So I'm gonna use my body. I'm really trying to leverage my arms and my knee that's over here on the side to give me that ability to roll and kind of control the speed, and I'm controlling the rotation here. So I'm rotating my foot one way, and then I'm turning it, and I'm rotating it out. So you can notice that my foot at the bottom here is really trying to get that rotation, get both those sides working. That's really where a lot of this comes down to, is making sure that you're getting as much of the muscle as possible. That's why I made sure that you guys are getting the proper roller for you, the best roller that you possibly can, because if you're getting the right roller, then you're gonna be getting the right amount of foam rolling in. Okay, so we spent enough time getting the quad. I usually like going maybe a little bit, stretching that one a little bit longer, so going about 2 minutes per quad, because it is such a big muscle and there is so much to cover just there. I usually like going with just getting the quad and getting 2 minutes on each side, because it is one of the high traffic areas, as I mentioned. So we want to make sure we're spending enough time doing that. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get the glute. So we're going to go from quad to glute and then work our way back down. So for the glute, what you're going to do is you're going to get on the roller. You're going to be not dead center of it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna rotate yourself over to the side. I'm gonna cross one leg over and I'm just gonna roll. So what I'm trying to do here with this rolling is the same thing as I did with my quad. I'm starting by going straight because my glute does wrap around the entire side. So because it wraps around the entire side, what that's doing is that's allowing me to really kind of get a lot more musculature work done. So what I'm trying to do is really wrap my body around it and really get all the different angles I possibly can. So with that, what we're gonna be doing is really trying to loosen off as much of that muscle as we possibly can. The glute is a big time power moving muscle, so you need it to work properly. So as I do, I'm moving and I'm rotating my knee closer towards the ground, still rolling the same side. And again, keeping that speed consistent, trying to make sure I'm looking for some sensitive areas that might be bugging me. As I mentioned, one of our 4 rules. Rotating off to the other side, switching feet here. You'll notice that on this side, same thing. I'm keeping my leg kind of lifted, rotated outwards, getting as much of that muscles exposed as possibly can. What I'm trying to do with this is really trying to get as much of that deep tissue, the deep glute muscles, really worked out and making sure that I'm not missing anything, because that's what's gonna cause me to potentially run into issues later on down the line. As I've mentioned before, it's in a lot of the stuff that we've posted is really to understand that when you are coming upon a muscle that's injured or an injured area, what you want to do is not just focus on that, but you also want to focus on supporting and surrounding areas too, because there is something that may be picking up the slack and maybe doing a lot of the work. So it's really important that we do roll the glute, even if we have a quad strain or we have something wrong with the quad, we're keeping this going. We're trying to really maintain the health and the quality of the tissue. So now we're gonna be moving down to a hamstring foam roll. This is not the ideal way to roll your hamstring. Normally what you're gonna wanna do is get a ball, like a big, thick softball, and you get yourself propped up on a hard bench or hard surface where your leg can be bent and hang over. So you're gonna expose and relax that muscle as much as we can and really get into that muscle belly. But unfortunately, I wanna make it so that everyone can start with this and we can throw that in as more of an advanced soft tissue work when we're going into trigger points. So for this one, what you're gonna do is prop yourself up, get your leg to your side, and you're going to allow your leg to be as loose as possible. A lot of people straighten out that leg as they foam roll, they keep their leg in the air. I like to let my heel drag along the ground because it's mimicking as much of that elevated foam rolling as it possibly can without really being completely elevated. Again, rolling the leg, making sure that we're getting behind just past the IT band, which is something I'm gonna show you guys in a couple of seconds here. And then what we're doing is we're rolling back to the center of it, and we're gonna go and get the inside, which is just behind the inner kind of that, just behind the groin muscle. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap to the other side now. We're gonna get the other hamstring. And again, this is again like a very kind of generalized time frame. I'm not following like a chronometer specifically. I'm kind of gauging a rough estimate of the times, but you want to spend about 1 to 2 minutes per side. And if you feel like you need more, as I've mentioned, you know, for areas like the quad, the calves, the glutes, something that's a little bit more high traffic, the inner thigh, the groin area, if you are struggling with knee pain, that's going to be one of the areas that might be a high traffic area for if the knee's caving in too much as you run. One of the areas that we really want you to focus on. So make sure that you are putting some attention onto that and really focusing on that part of the body. So as you can see, my foot's constantly rotating. I'm never staying in one place. It's constantly moving around, and I'm making sure that I'm getting that nice distribution, trying to really search at the same time and familiarize myself with the muscle itself. I wanna make sure that if I am hitting an area that is more sensitive, that I'm remembering that that area was sensitive and trying to compare it in subsequent foam rolling sessions to make sure that I'm not always just, you know, hitting that one spot and, you know, or I'm hitting it once then not hitting it for another few days. I really want to focus on those areas to make sure that we're improving the tissue quality in that area. So the next one we're going to do is we're going to do the inner thigh. So the setup for this is pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to line yourself up You're gonna line yourself up basically with the roller here. I'm gonna get in the nice camera view here. So we're gonna bring it out, roll it out a bit away from us. So if you notice from this front view, I'm getting it at about mid-thigh. This camera view, you can see how far it is away from me. If I straighten out my feet, it's just coming in line with the edge of my toes. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raise my knee and I'm gonna drop my leg on top. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna get me to the basic edge here. So if I rotate this way, you'll see that I'm right near my knee on this side. So as I start rolling through, I'm gonna be able to take that roller from far away, bring it closer to my body as I roll my hip down towards the ground. So same thing here, I'm just rolling my body down, and as I'm doing it, I'm really making sure that I'm getting the nice up portion, upper roll portion here, and dropping it back down. I'm not staying just evenly with my foot on the ground. I'm getting up, my foot's down on the ground, I'm rolling back and forth, and as I'm doing it, I'm gonna slowly lift my leg. I'm trying to look for sensitive areas, sensitive spots here, because if you are dealing with knee pain, this is gonna be one of the sensitive areas. There's a lot of traffic here, a lot of tension in this area, so it's good to kind of release it. Helps out. It might be a little sore for you if you are dealing with a little bit of knee pain. And as you notice that I'm a little bit higher here, I'm finding a sensitive spot, so this is a good time for me to talk about sensitivity. If you are feeling like you've found a sensitive spot, sit in that one area and just work through it, making sure that you're consistently working through that same area, getting a little bit more work done. This is a high traffic area for me. Spending a little bit more time on that spot is really ideal. Now, I'm going to basically here, I'm gonna drop myself to the side again, and I'm just dropping and rolling over. I'm making sure that as I'm doing this, I'm never speeding through it. I'm never trying to go too fast. What I wanna do when I am foam rolling is making sure that I'm going nice and smooth, respecting that 2-inch, roughly the 2-inch pattern, that 2-inch time frame, 2-inch per second time frame and speed. And this is what I want people to understand is that there are like numerous 50, 60 different ways, different approaches, different thought processes about foam rolling, how fast you should go, how much you should stay on one side. There's like scraping, going back and forth, there's grinding away through it. There's so many different things you can do, so many different ways to maneuver it. And what you have to do is you have to learn to play inside the box before you can learn to play outside of it. So you really have to start working on just understanding foam rolling, making this a daily habit, and then learning the fine details of how to go in there and get a little bit more advanced with your foam rolling. It's totally normal to be just kind of getting this in on a daily basis and kind of doing this regular routine here. Again, what you're doing is you're trying to remember what areas of that muscle hurt the most. And when you find those sensitive areas, like I know where I'm gonna be sensitive based on my body's posture and the things that I do during my day and the sports that I play and the activities that I do. So I'll know what a sensitive area for me would be. And from there, I'm gonna work on those and make sure that they don't become a problem and they don't become a nagging problem. So once I've done that, I'm gonna go and do the outside of my leg. This is an area that I don't really like to do too often. A lot of people sit on it and they just grind away on it. I'm not a fan. I don't like sitting flat on my side and rolling on the IT band. A lot of people know that one, have heard that one before if they've heard of foam rolling. This is one here, I'm just gonna turn. If you notice that my leg is not flat here, I'm kind of turned down towards the ground. What that's gonna do is it's gonna allow me to roll just above the IT band. And then it's gonna allow me to do the same thing and go behind it. So I'm gonna lift my leg up. I'm gonna turn my foot up towards the sky, and that's gonna allow me to get that portion behind it. So I'm actually really trying to target my quad going right behind the IT band, and I'm gonna just roll over just briefly, and then I'm going right back to in front of the IT band. So from that kind of side angle here, what you'll see is my foot's turned down towards the ground, and then I'm gonna escape it quickly, and I'm gonna turn my foot and get up towards the sky. Same thing on the other side. So foot positioning for this one, cradling foot position, I like to place my foot in front like this so that I can really turn myself over and get that IT band portion that I'm really looking for. And then at the same time, if I need to get the back, I can get the back as well. I can make sure that I'm really rolling and getting the back portion. And again, in the front. So what I'm looking for with this is really to try to release a lot of that tension that kind of gets built up if my posture is not good when I'm walking or when I'm running. So if you're struggling with your walking, you're struggling with your running technique, this is one of those areas that's gonna feel it the most. You're gonna feel a lot of sensitivity here. Again, I haven't touched on the hip today. We haven't really touched on the little intricate areas of the hip flexors, TFL muscles, piriformis, kind of got the piriformis a bit. Haven't really touched on anything else. That's gonna be more in a trigger point release, a little bit more advanced, specialized foam rolling essential workout, essential routine. So I'm gonna touch on that a little bit later. So getting down into the calf now, we're almost done here. What I'm gonna do is for the calf, depending on how sensitive you are and depending on how much you're gonna need to roll your calf, you're gonna wanna spend some time. You're gonna wanna decide whether you're gonna put both your calves, stack them up on top of each other, or you're gonna leave it off to the side, straighten it out. So this is gonna be basically the easiest one because you can load your hand, load your foot, and you get a little gentle calf massage. You're rolling at your calf just gently. If you wanna be a little bit more intense, drop your leg down on the ground here, and you're gonna let yourself hit the ground. If you wanna really pack it on, I'm capable of loading it on like this and really getting into the calf. It's not a problem for me. Calves are very thick musculature, so you can really get deep inside because of how thick the muscle is. But at the same time, if you go too quickly and if you go too hard, you're gonna be in so much pain, we're not gonna be getting the benefits. This is one of those things that if you are foam rolling on a daily basis, as I've mentioned, you are gonna start seeing the benefits and sort of the release in the calf. It's gonna make a lot of the things you do throughout your day more manageable. Now, as I've mentioned, there's nothing you can really do about your day. I can't tell you to suddenly start sitting down at work if you need to be standing all day. And subsequently, if you need to be seated in front of a computer, it's very hard to be standing and moving around throughout the day because you're trying to make up or you're trying to work on the computer. It's really hard. You have the sitting and standing desk, but the moving around thing might not be as feasible because you might not have the time allowance to be able to move around, drop down the ground, stretch, and all these things. So we have to try to make up the difference throughout the day so that those things don't affect us when we're doing our daily activities, we're doing our sports. And athletes, if you are a runner, if you are a soccer player, hockey player, sprinter, whatever you are, soft tissue is a great way to prep your body and prep your muscles for the workout itself. So as you notice that I'm rotating, I'm keeping my foot straight, just a little touch on a little bit of this now. But yeah, you wanna make sure that you're able to do this on a regular basis, as I've mentioned. And this is not something that's gonna replace, soft tissue work. It's not gonna be something that's gonna replace massage. That's why we have massage therapists here at On Performance working. We wanna make sure that our athletes are able to get what they need. If they need massage, if they need to get some tissue work done, that's great. It's gonna be much more beneficial than a foam roller. Foam roller is a very good daily maintenance tool. It's to stop the kind of slow down the floodgates a bit and close the floodgates a bit, stop it from becoming unmanageable. You wanna make sure that you keep the foam rolling as manageable as possible. So last one we're gonna get here is gonna be the front shin. Almost lost it there. The shin basically right in the front. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your body, get yourself up onto the shin bone here. This is gonna be the most intense. So if you notice from the side angle here, I'm putting all of my weight on the roller itself and I'm driving my body back and forth. This is a little bit more advanced because it takes a little bit more core shoulder strength to do, and you also have to be able to withstand the amount of punishment, the amount of stress that's gonna be on your shin. Now, if you can't handle this, you should continue doing it if you can. If not, you're gonna try this way. What we're gonna do is, I'm actually gonna show you the other way, which is going to be to lie down flat, straighten out my calf, straighten out my leg, and just roll my calf like this. Again, if you wanna make it easier, put your leg down and allow yourself to kind of support your body weight. This is gonna be probably the trickiest one to get on the foam roller per se, not because you can't access the muscle, but because it's not the easiest one to get, simply because you have to be somewhat advanced enough to be able to hold your body weight up. So I'll show you guys from the side here. So I'm gonna show you this one here. So basically I'm just rolling the front of my shin and I'm getting that muscle, it's out to the side. What I wanna do is when I am rotating, I can rotate out to the side. If you notice my foot's kind of turned up here, it's not pointing down towards the ground, it's turned up. that's okay. It's totally fine that you get yourself turned up. What you wanna make sure you do is you are avoiding the bone that's right up here on the side here. That bone that's right up there, if you start hitting that, the amount of pressure you're gonna be putting on that bone is gonna be a little bit high, so you're gonna wanna stay just below it. You wanna stay away from it. If you stay away from it, you're gonna be much less likely to start irritating and lodge it out of place. You don't necessarily need it, but if it is in the way and if it does get irritated, it becomes loose, it starts causing some friction, and your gait is gonna change. So your walking pattern is gonna change to avoid that pain. So we wanna stay away from it. Don't ride right on it, and you should be just fine. So you wanna stay below it and to the front. So if you guys obviously have any questions, you all can always reach out to us by sending us a quick email, letting us know what your questions are about this episode. If not, thank you for listening to this essential routine, and see you guys in the next one.